5 seconds. I actually think.
Okay, everybody, let's get refocused. We're back from lunch now, so let's open up your sketchbook. If you left off with Paleolithic notes, we are going to continue that. If you need to start a new page for Paleolithic notes, you can do that. Let me get my drink. All right, we're going to Turkey now. Where's Turkey on that map? Look at that map. Where is Turkey? That is correct, right above the Middle East. And in fact, Turkey is almost in the exact center of this map. There's Turkey right there. We're going to go to Turkey, and we're going to go to that area indicated by the red dot. If you travel there now, this is what you're going to see. This big open building in this field. And as we get closer, you look inside, and it is an archaeological dig. What this place is, this is Katal Hoyuk. Now, Katal Hoyuk was a large village or a large city. It had a population of 6,000 people and roughly 1,000 buildings. However, the unique thing about Katal Hoyuk is there were no streets. So, use your imagination. How do you get from one part of the city to another if there are no streets? Walk on top of the buildings, and that's what they did. All right, this culture, there are no windows, no doors on these houses and on these buildings. There's a hole in the ceiling with ladders, and that's how they get in and out of their abodes. And if we look at a little bit closer, you can see the ladders that gets people up on there, and then they have a covered entrance, a covered hole that they would get into and out of their building. And this is a recreation of what a room would have looked like, but we're not interested in interior decoration. What we're going to look at is the paintings that are on the walls. One little bit of information or one little fun fact for Katal Hoyuk, they buried their dead underneath their house. All right, moving on. And it looks like they did their cooking on the roof. So this is a painting on a wall, and it's called Deer Hunt. Now, this is a Neolithic work of art. How is this similar to Paleolithic art that we've seen? How is it similar? It is, right, it's on a wall, yes. How else is it similar? Right, it has animals in it, yes. And how else is it similar? Yes. And what I'm looking for is the profile view, all right? It's a side view of the animal, all right? And that's how it's the same. And even if you even look, it's that twisted perspective where the antlers look like we're looking at it from the front, but then the head is at the side. Now, what makes this different than Paleolithic art? Yes, absolutely. It's the people. All right. We didn't have people in Paleolithic art. And so I'm going to go back to my notes. All right. This is the first time that humans make a regular appearance on wall art. With Paleolithic, people were very rare. With Neolithic, they are very common. And what we see here are groups of hunters, not individuals. And with Paleo, they painted with their fingers on a rock, and with Neolithic, they used brushes on plaster. So they made their houses out of mud brick, and then they put plaster on top of the surface to help keep it sturdy. We get the door. And again, you can see more of this Paleolithic art or this Neolithic art with the profile view and the people. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Grayson. Yeah. All right. Now, this painting is a bit unique. It's hard to see what it is, so we'll look at a recreation of it right here. And you can see it even a little bit better here. What do you think these squarish things are? Those squarish things that are painted on the wall is the city of Katal Hayuk. Those are all the buildings. And if those are all the buildings, then what is this thing right here? It's okay. I don't expect you to know because it's very abstract, but does that look familiar? All right. This is the mountain that's right next to Katal Hayuk. So they painted the mountain there. What we're looking at is the first landscape in art history. And landscapes become very popular in the 18th century, 19th century. And so, um, but this is the first one. All right, moving on. One of the figures that they found in Katal Hayuk is this figure right here. It's called Seated Woman of Katal Hayuk. Many sculptures were found. Now, if you look at her and look at her body type, what would you say about this figure? Say it louder. Right, exactly. The word that comes to mind is fertility. All right, this would be a fertility goddess. And my notes say it's a large and fertile mother goddess in the process of giving birth while seated on the throne. Approximately 6000 BC. And when it was found, its head and right hand and the rest of the right side were missing. The current head and the hand are modern replacements. And it's made of barely fired clay. So when you cook clay for very hot temperatures for very long, it becomes very strong. But if you don't cook it for a long time, if you don't cook it at extremely high temperatures, it's still very brittle, which would explain why it is broken. But they don't have YouTube videos to show them like what temperatures to put their ovens at. All right, speaking of ovens, these were often found in oven walls, house walls, floors, and left in abandoned structures. The figures often show evidence as having been poked, scratched, or broken. And it's generally believed that they functioned as wish tokens or to ward off bad spirits. All right, who is this guy? Yeah, that's RoboCop. All right, yeah, I do want you to write down RoboCop. I do want you to write down the date. This is important. And RoboCop will show up on the test. The reason why RoboCop will show up on the test is because the actor who played RoboCop in the first two movies, his name was Peter Weller. And in 2004, he got his Master of Arts in Roman and Renaissance art. And in 2014, he got his PhD in Italian Renaissance art. So RoboCop is my favorite art historian. I've read some of his articles that he's written. I've enjoyed what he has written. And so the reason I'm telling you guys about RoboCop is that this is the first time this semester, and it won't be the last time. But when you see RoboCop pop up on the screen, he stands for an art historian. And if I know who the art historian is, I'll put the name there. All right. So in my mind, art historians are RoboCop. All right. And so I will tell you what typically art historians will say. All right. So that is why you will see RoboCop throughout this course. All right. And so art historians generally believe that this is a fertility goddess. And if we look at it from a different angle and then from the back, yeah, she's quite large. All right, moving on. On this map, where is the United Kingdom? Yeah, right above what? Right, it is right above France. All right, now if we look at the United Kingdom is made of different countries. Which one is England? What color? Orange, yes. Orange is England. Does anybody know what the one above England is? Scotland. What about this green one next to England? Wales. And then the one up above. All right, this is Ireland. Then this would be Northern Ireland. Yes, that is correct. All right. So we are going to go into England. How are we doing on time? We got plenty of time? All right. And we're going to go to a place called Wiltshire. And within Wiltshire, we are going to look at Stonehenge. All right, Stonehenge was built in phases over thousands of years, or several centuries, sorry. And it is an astronomical observatory, and it is an accurate solar calendar. The first phase was a series of ditches with small stones or pits around in a circle. And this was 5,000 years ago. Phase two was about 4,500 years ago, and it included these stones in a semicircle. But what we know of as Stonehenge looks like this as phase three. And these were when the large stones were placed. Now, Stonehenge is more than just this circle of rocks. It is much larger. There's a larger outer circle and other mounds. There's a North Barrow and South Barrow. And you notice these other stones that are around, and all of these stones are lined up with the sun. They're aligned with the sun on specific days. A couple of the important stones are this one down here is the heel stone. And there are some keystones up here. And for example, the winter sunrise and the sunset, you will be able to see through the gaps in the stones this way. and the extreme moonrise. You can see through the stones if you look this way, and the moon set, and then winter solstice and the summer solstice. You can see with the through the gaps in the stones, and it makes a line here. So it's all aligned to the stone. So if you look through, this would be a sunset, and you can look, and the sun sets over the heel stone. Am I right? Are we looking west? There's no, that's north. If that's north and that's south, then off to the right, that would have to be east, right? Correct? All right. So then if we're down there and looking at the heel stone, we're looking east. So that's sunrise, not sunset. Okay. And then here is that heel stone that is the distance from, and here's what it looks like without the sunrise. By the way, uh, most days in England, this is the weather right here. So even on the day where it's supposed to be that you can see the sunrise, most likely it'll be cloudy because England is mostly cloudy most of the time. All right, so I know what you're thinking. I bet you're wondering, how did they move those stones? Right? All right, because that's what you guys think about. All right, so there's a lot of talk about it's aliens that move them. But scientists have pretty much figured out how they were moved. And most likely they were moved by large groups of people pulling the stone and then putting logs underneath to help them roll. In the summer, I watched a video showing they had put the stone on these logs as a rail, and then everybody was able to have these long poles, and they put the poles underneath the stone at an angle, and they pulled it down. And with everybody pulled it down, that raised the stone up, and then they moved the poles, and that projected the forward. So it looked like a rowing motion, and they were able to move it that way. So different people are thinking about different ways that it could have been moved. And these stones, while like infinitely heavy, could be moved by large groups of people. So then how did they set them up? So here I found this online where it shows there's a ditch dug or a hole dug where they used a leverage system to angle the top up, and then it just falls into place, and then they use a leverage system to pull it to make it erect, to make it at 90 degrees. Then to get a capstone on top, they put they raise it a little bit and put objects under it, and then raise it a little bit more and put objects under it. So they raise this end and put some objects in, and then they raise the other end and put some objects under it, and then they build the next level and then the next level. Nobody really knows how they did it. Here is how another person thinks that they were able to put the capstones on the top by an extravagant ramp where they could pull them up and then slide them over onto the tops. But this architecture that we're looking at right here, because this is our second piece of architecture, is that right? The first one was the Tower of Jericho. This is our second piece of architecture, and this piece of architecture gives us our first post and lintel system. And we're going to be seeing post and lintel all semester long. And I can guarantee you that post and lintel will show up on the test. The vertical parts are the post. the horizontal parts are the lintel, or the part is the lintel. And what's happening is that gravity is pushing the lintel down that's being supported by the posts. They have to be careful not to make the distance between the posts too long, because if they make it too long, what's going to happen? It'll break in the middle. So these are very quite crude. There's not a lot of space in between the posts for the lintel to go on. So as people get better at architecture, we see a post and lintel system here. These are the lintels, these are the posts, and they begin to make the posts narrower and the distance between the posts wider. And even in modern architecture, we still use a post and lintel system. These are the posts and these are the lintels. Now this is steel, so steel is much stronger than wood and stone. It's not as brittle as stone, and it doesn't decay like wood does. So they can build higher and stronger with steel. But my point is to show you that architects are still using the post and lintel system that was given to us by the Neolithic construction men, designers. All right, and then at the top, there's these, it almost looks like a Lego. It's a giant Lego is what we're looking at. All right, the little nodule fits into the hole, and then there is a groove, so it all fits in nicely. All right, are there any questions about Neolithic art or Paleolithic art? All right, this concludes chapter 1, and we will start with chapter 2 on Tuesday. How many chapters did we cover this year? This unit? 4?